The sun was high over the busy streets of Westford City when a moment shattered a man's entire world. Adrian Cole, a quiet single father who had rebuilt his life from the ashes of a broken marriage, was driving home from his carpentry job when he saw her, sitting on the sidewalk, knees pulled to her chest, a cardboard sign trembling in her hands. His ex-wife, Helena, once vibrant, proud, unstoppable, now pale, hollow-eyed, dressed in layers of worn-out fabric that barely clung to her thin frame. She looked nothing like the woman he remembered. At first he could not believe it. His breath stuck in his throat, and the steering wheel felt slippery under his palms. He thought it was someone else, someone with a similar face. But when she lifted her head, and he saw those unmistakable hazel eyes filled with quiet suffering, the truth sliced through him like a blade. If you believe in kindness, compassion, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Everyday Kindness to support stories that heal hearts. Adrian pulled over in a hurry, nearly stumbling as he stepped out of the car. Cars honked, people walked past without noticing, life kept moving. But for him, everything slowed. He walked toward her cautiously, terrified of what he would discover, terrified of the reason she had fallen this far. She didn't even notice his steps. She was staring blankly at the ground as if all the strength in her spirit had drained away long ago. The cardboard sign read, "I haven't eaten in 2 days. Anything helps." Helena had once been a woman who laughed loudly, dreamed big, and planned everything to perfection. She had walked away from their marriage 5 years ago when the pressures of motherhood, family expectations, and her own personal battles became too much. Adrian remembered those nights, her tears, her fear, her constant desire to prove herself, the weight she carried alone. She left to find herself, but what she truly found was isolation. Their daughter, little Mara, was only 6 when it happened. Now she was 11, gentle, smart, and full of hope, despite the pain of her mother's sudden disappearance. As Adrian stood in front of Helena now, he felt both anger and compassion fighting inside him. Why hadn't she come to him? Why hadn't she called? Why had she allowed herself to fall so far? 100 questions burned inside him, but he swallowed them all. He reached out a trembling hand, gently touching her shoulder. She flinched, as if she expected someone to hurt her. Then she looked up, recognition dawning slowly, painfully. "Adrian?" she whispered, her voice barely audible, as if her vocal cords had forgotten how to work. He knelt down beside her, his heart pounding. "Helena, what happened to you?" Her eyes filled with tears, spilling silently down her dirt-streaked cheeks. She tried to speak, but all that came out was a quiet sob, her body shaking from hunger and cold despite the sunlight. The truth was written all over her. The exhaustion, the shame, the months or maybe years of struggle she had endured without anyone to catch her. People passed them, eyes sliding away. Some looked annoyed, others looked uncomfortable. It angered Adrian. How could the world become so numb? How many times had she been ignored? How many days had she spent invisible? He didn't hesitate. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders. She looked fragile inside it, like a wounded bird trying to warm its wings again. "I'm taking you home," he said softly. Her eyes widened in fear. "No, I don't want Mara to see me like this." Adrian's voice cracked. "She deserves to know you're alive, and you deserve to be helped." She broke into another wave of tears, and he held her, not as a husband, not as a lover, but as a human being who could not let another soul crumble. The drive home was quiet. Adrian kept glancing at her, noticing how her hands trembled, how she kept her face turned toward the window as if afraid to meet his eyes. He didn't push her. He knew forcing her to speak would only deepen her shame. When they arrived at the small house he had worked so hard to pay off, Mara was sitting at the dining table, coloring. Her eyes lit up when she saw her father, but when she noticed Helena behind him, she froze. The crayon slipped from her fingers and rolled across the floor. "Mom?" Helena's breath caught, and she almost stumbled. Mara rushed forward, unsure, hesitant, but desperate. She stopped inches away. "Mom? Is it really you?" Helena nodded weakly, tears falling again. "Baby, I'm so sorry." Mara didn't wait for explanations. She wrapped her small arms around her mother's frail body, holding her as tightly as she could. Helena clung back, burying her face in Mara's hair, shaking with emotion. Adrian watched them from the doorway, his own eyes stinging. After everything, after all the pain and betrayal and lost years, his daughter still chose love. He made hot soup, though his hands trembled the whole time. When they sat together at the table, it felt strange, familiar, and painfully beautiful all at once. Helena ate slowly, carefully, ashamed, yet grateful. Mara talked softly, filling the silence with innocent warmth, telling her mother about school, her drawings, her favorite teacher. Adrian saw how Helena's eyes soaked in every word, as though she had been starving, not just for food, but for belonging. When Mara went to her room to rest, Helena finally spoke. "I didn't want you to see me like that," she whispered. "I messed up. I trusted the wrong people. I lost everything. My job, my apartment, even my friends. They all vanished when the money did." Adrian leaned forward. "Why didn't you come to us, Helena?" "I was ashamed," she said, voice cracking. "I left you both. I thought I didn't deserve help from the people I hurt the most." The honesty in her voice broke him in a way he didn't expect. He had spent years trying to hate her, trying to move on. But seeing her like this, so vulnerable, stripped of pride and pretense, reminded him that everyone can fall. And sometimes the fall is so deep, climbing back up feels impossible without someone extending a hand. "You should have come home," Adrian whispered. "You were never supposed to face the world alone." She broke again, covering her face with trembling hands. He reached across the table and held them gently. "You're safe now." The following days were slow, but filled with healing. Helena slept for long stretches, her body recovering from months of exhaustion. Adrian gave her space, cooking meals, offering clean clothes, and letting Mara brighten the rooms with laughter. The neighborhood whispered, curious about the woman who had returned after disappearing for years, but Adrian didn't care. He had found her at her lowest, and nothing mattered except helping her rise again. Mara stayed close to her mother, always drawing near her, telling her stories, asking questions. Helena apologized over and over, but Mara shook her head each time, saying softly, "I'm just happy you're here." Adrian began to understand what forgiveness looked like through his daughter's eyes, pure, unconditional, without resentment. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the living room window, Adrian found Helena sitting on the couch, staring at her hands. "You okay?" he asked gently. She nodded but didn't meet his eyes. "I don't know how to fix everything. I don't know how to make up for the years I lost." "You don't have to fix it all at once," he said. "Just start by trying." Her eyes lifted slowly, full of gratitude. "Why are you being so kind to me, Adrian? After everything?" He hesitated, then spoke the truth. "Because somewhere inside you is the woman I once loved, and because no one deserves to face their darkest day alone." Her chin trembled. "I don't deserve you." He sat beside her. "No one has to earn help. They just need to need it." This time, she didn't cry. She just breathed, deep, healing breaths, as if her lungs were slowly remembering life again. Weeks passed. Helena regained weight, her skin brightened, her voice strengthened. She got therapy through a local program, found small part-time work, and began rebuilding her confidence piece by piece. Adrian never asked for repayment. He didn't expect gratitude. He simply walked beside her, quietly offering support. What surprised him was how much they talked, not about the past they had destroyed, but the future they could choose to rebuild. They weren't lovers again, but they weren't strangers either. They were something in between, two broken pieces learning how to fit again without forcing the shape. One morning, Mara ran into the kitchen wearing her backpack. "Mom, can you walk me to school today?" Helena froze, startled. She looked at Adrian, unsure. He smiled. "Go on. She wants you." The sight of them walking down the street together, the daughter who never stopped hoping, and the mother who thought she no longer deserved hope, was something Adrian wished he could frame forever. For the first time in years, he felt the warmth of a life coming back together. Months later, on a bright spring afternoon, Helena came to him with a small envelope. She held it with steady hands. "What's this?" Adrian asked. "My first full paycheck from the new job," she said. "I want to contribute. I want to help with Mara. And with the house." Adrian opened his mouth to protest, but she shook her head. "Let me try, Adrian. Let me be part of this family again." And in that moment he realized the truth. She wasn't the broken woman he had found on the street anymore. She was rebuilding herself, and she was choosing them, not out of desperation, but out of love. His voice softened. "Welcome home, Helena." Her eyes filled, but this time with joy. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps everyday kindness keep spreading stories of compassion and second chances. Special request: comment, "Kindness lives here," if you believe everyone deserves a second chance.